pre-show kind of stuff. Yeah, you guys are doing great. Thank you for making arrangements to still be on the show this week.
Of
That takes a
course,
lot.
yeah.
But no, I understand. After talking with Sean, Sean made it sound like it was like very urgent, all this other stuff. I'm like, it's okay. It's You guys are extremely busy, which is I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yes, yeah. It keeps things interesting on our side, definitely.
Oh wow. So you're actually the VP of business development.
Yes.
That's interesting. Very, very interesting. So what I want to do on this show is take a different approach from what Dan. I'm not sure if you heard the show with your dad,
Yes,
right?
yes. Dan is my
Okay.
father.
What
Yep.
I thought so. I'm like, crazy world out there. Um, but yeah, we got into how it came about, how the fountains came about and whatnot. But you guys been since then, that was like what, 7 months ago since I had Dan on
Yeah, I think just about now.
and all the things that I keep seeing that's popping up all over the place. You're like in almost every news cycle there is right now. So there's so much to talk about.
Yes, we've had a lot going on. So it's been a really exciting 6 months, 7 months. So
Well, I'm sure it's not gonna stop anytime soon. Do you have any questions for me?
um I I don't believe so. Again, I watched the show with Dan. I
Okay.
read what you sent over. I think I have a kind of a gist on how this is gonna go.
Okay.
I mean, if there's anything else you think I should know before we really get started, that'd be great. But otherwise, I think we're good.
No, I just keep casual, let the conversation flow. There's quite a bit to talk about and a very short amount of time to talk about this. So whatever we cover, and it's always been beneficial because there's a lot of things uh that we would talk about that you might not remember or said something somewhere else, or it might give a little bit of insight what's coming in the future. So everything works out well.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, excellent, excellent. All right, let's see. So that is there. Soon, the audio engineer will be on, our sound technician. We normally do a two. I've been playing around with the two breaks thing, so it'll be like quarter after, or like 18 after, and like about 20 of. There'll be a break. We can just gather our thoughts, figure out, okay, well, we covered all this, and then we covered that, and anything else you got want to plug at the end for the company and whatnot.
Awesome. Sounds perfect.
See, now, have you done any other interviews
Yeah,
before?
I've done a couple of podcasts. I've presented a few times at conferences and things, done some panel stuff. So a little bit, yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Uh, that's good because this show will actually be worldwide. If you're not, if you were, I did go over some of that. It is worldwide. We have my listening audience is about 11,000 now in just a short amount of time. And from the last time I checked, I hit 32 different countries.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we are definitely going to hit live. And I seen you, Drone Deck is actually the third highest ranking show that I have.
That's awesome. That's really exciting to hear for us.
Well, you're being beat out by what is it? Recovering from a vacation, and apparently the military folks, Military to Millionaire show has actually been blowing up, but this will actually give it a good run for its money.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's knock them out of first and second place, huh?
uh, I'm game for it. I'm definitely game. I'm just looking up some other new stuff that you've been working on. Well, it's not hard to find anything with you guys. You're like everywhere.
Yeah, again, we've had a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of big news releases recently. So, um, we're big on social medias too. So when you Google our name, we come up in about a million different places.
And that's the way it should be, especially with the anticipation of you guys launching and going. I can't wait till you guys go public. I'm waiting for that, but we'll save that stuff for the show because it's you're really changing everything, the way we think about everything.
we're certainly trying to. The mailbox is one of those last pieces of technology that to really go through the digital transformation. So and it's that's such an important part. We rely on delivery so much in our life since COVID. So we definitely like to think that we are revolutionizing the industry.
Mm, yeah, and expansion, everything that's going to happen, and it's mind blowing. Just think 20 years ago, we didn't have any of this. We were still on cords. We were still, well, actually 20 years ago, it was about, yeah, we were getting beepers.
I
Oh, excuse
remember
me.
those, yeah, the pagers. Oh,
Couldn't do anything with it, but you had one. It was like one of the coolest things ever.
we've come a long way. Technology, it's just that exponential, it's improving so quickly.
Mhm.
It's insane.
But one thing, finding out that I find that's really strange in the development and ascension of technology is we are still on a 64-bit operating system.
Yeah, some things haven't been updated for a while. I don't know. It is interesting that there's kind of that. It feels like some processes end up getting just iterated on. There's such new stuff, but then there's some that they're like, well, it's not broken, but it's interesting to see where that falls because that is a good point and something I hadn't really thought about is that hasn't changed for years now.
Yeah, if you really do think about it, from 10 years we got DOS, OS2, all that stuff going on, warp and whatnot. And then we came into 8-bit Windows 3.1. Then we came into Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows NT in there for networking, all within 8 years of each other. Those four. And then we went to 98, 98 SE, 2000. And from 2000 was the last of the 32-bit operating systems. And we went to XP, which is 64.
It hasn't changed since.
And it hasn't changed since 64, even though Microsoft promised that we would actually transform to that to a 128-bit.
Kind of makes you wonder what happened there.
Absolutely. Well, being a geek and whatnot, I think they're still making too much money on it. People are still buying into it, so
Well,
they
there's
didn't
not
really.
too many alternatives. Is one of the issues.
There's that as well. Well, you still have Linux. Linux is still hanging on out there by a thread, but
In
you're
select
right.
groups, I feel like. I think it's a certain type of person that goes Linux at this point.
Well, yeah, you're right, because everything else, our phones are all shell based. They're all app based, so which are basically Linux. Hmm. Except for yeah, Apple. Apple's all Linux based. Well, that's something to think about. And I'm sure the APIs and whatnot that are running are Linux based and Python and all the dev programs that should die and we should create new programs to see what we can actually do. So hmm, just it's just interesting that these are the types of things that go in my mind when I'm actually at work and trying to figure out how to fix the network problem. And then when I come here to the investing side, it's like, well, they're still making money, but there's ways to make more money by inventing this instead of doing that. It's weird. It's all good like that.
Although inventing costs money too. I think that's where they run into that. They're like, well, if we're still making money this way, we can save costs on that and slowly develop it or, whatever they're doing behind the curtain.
Or actually stop the development because it's actually better than what they have. Seen that happen quite a few times, especially in the printing world, which is
Huh.
crazy.
One piece of technology I don't actually put too much thought into normally on it, but yeah, there is a lot going on. Or I don't know.
Yeah, it's and this is the things that go through my Crazy little mind. Hmm. And I share with everybody because it makes everybody else wonder too, because it's like, okay, we take it for granted because we do rely so heavily on our technology. Look at the internet. The internet, we were at dial up speeds.
Don't miss those days.
Missing the day where it took like an hour and a half to download one MP3.
No, no, I much prefer today's speeds. And they're getting faster all the time too, which is pretty cool.
you're
It kind
you're
of every time I get frustrated when a video is not loading or something, it takes like 30 extra seconds. I'm like, it's taking so long, and I'm like, wow, just a few years ago, that would be still pretty fast. So, but as you said, we take it for granted. We're so used to that instantaneous downloads now.
you're right. And what was it? I guess when DSL came out. Remember when it was 7 megs, it was high speed internet, and you had these your 10 different $5,000 computers all at the same time trying to download at the same speed. Oh, I remember that in school. And then it's like, oh, okay, we got 10 megs, 20 megs, three. Let's see here. Google Fiber is up to like 3 gigs now of fiber for residential.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Commercial's always different.
oh, commercials different. Commercials I think's at 100 gigs,
Something
150
in
gigs
yeah,
now.
something
Actually,
crazy high.
let me see. No, 200. Sienna was doing last time I checked when I worked at one of my positions, we had a 250 gig backbone of fiber of dark fiber. So we're probably well over a petabyte of speed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not slowing down. Well, if we take a look at it, 5G is 50 megs, 50 meps minimum. And it all ties into what we're going to talk about today, which is crazy.
It's exciting. I'm not as versed on the network side as it sounds like you are, though. I will admit. Uh, but I know a little bit. But the drones and automation robotics kind of side is really my bread and butter. I love that stuff.
Oh, really? Okay, so we can definitely focus more on that side of the house and the backbone, the infrastructure. I would love to learn about the infrastructure and how you guys are overcoming a lot of things. I remember talking with Dan about the FFA and whatnot because I would love to hear their take on it now since you guys are starting the implementing and also got your first delivery done.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to talk a little bit about that. We're still FAA is still kind of crawling along, but we're getting there. We're seeing some new easements that I'd be happy to touch on and stuff. So
Oh, good deal. Good deal. And do we have Josh today or do we have somebody else?
Hello, hello. How are you doing today?
There you are. I'm doing well. How are you, Josh?
Not too bad. Let's go ahead and do a quick sound check with everybody first. Magnus, if you'll count back from 5.
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, sounded good. And is it Laura?
yes,
If you'll count back as well for me, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, we should be pretty good. Just friendly reminder for everybody, if your cell phone is anywhere nearby, make sure it's set to silent or airplane mode, as vibrate will get picked up by the microphone. And if you're like me and talk with your hands, just be mindful of that you don't hit the desk or anything in front of you while we're talking. Otherwise, we should be good to go.
Great.
Oh, fantastic.
We got about 3 more minutes before we go live.
Oh, excellent. So, okay, cell phone's over there, water, cough drops. We're good to go. And let's see here. We'll pull that up. Okay, now I have everything set up here, set up there. It's sort of a show. I'm sure you have the same thing, like 6 different monitors that you're looking at and doing projects and meetings all at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like if you add a monitor, you can never take it away. So I'm at 2 right now. I'm really wanting to add a third. I'm just afraid to go more than that because I think it's just gonna keep growing and growing, Because I do that. I have several tabs open. I'm looking at multiple things at once.
I have actually had for a while a television. I put like a 50-inch
Oh,
TV on there and I just had everything like all tabbed out.
that's
And
kind of
then
nice.
it was very nice, especially if you have the room to do it. And you can actually be relaxed to do it too because you're not hunched over a desk. You're actually sitting there laying back and looking at everything.
No, yeah, I could see that being a cool way to get some stuff done. It's not a bad idea.
No, and the video cards nowadays will actually put it up in 4K for you so you can watch every little detail.
Very true. Yeah.
So you're gonna put requisitions in for that later after the show, right? You're gonna get a couple 50-inch TVs.
I just might.
Our viewers. Here we go. I have you here. Dronedek and next week's show.
Got about 30 seconds and we'll be live.
Oh, this is the longest part of the whole show.
We're just broadcasting voice, or are we also broadcasting the video?
The video will be up on YouTube.
Okay,
I'll get you the links for that. And if
awesome.
you need the files, I'll get that over to you. But we will be broadcasting over Voice America on voice only.
Okay, sounds good.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. Today we have a sort of new show. Well, actually, a continuation of an old show. But before we get into that, I want to thank Riley Jarvis from the Sleep Consultant last week. Actually, a continuation of an old show. But before we get into that, I want to thank Riley Jarvis from the Sleep Consultant last. And what we're actually doing is taking last week. I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Technology is wonderful today with me. Also the joys of being live. Last week we talked about sleep, how sleep is very important in our lives, how it actually helps us make better financial decisions, and how much actually goes into getting healthy sleep and our bodies that need it. But today we are going to go into the future. We're actually stepping into the future one little bit at a time. This is a continuation of the show from when Dan O'Toole came on 7, 8 months ago already. But Dan couldn't be here. He had to be called away, which is no big deal because we have another look at the same company from a different perspective. Let us welcome Lora O'Toole to the show. Welcome, Lora.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, not a problem. I'm glad you could make it to the show, and it's definitely going to be interesting to get your perspective on Dronedek and you being the VP of business development there. We're actually going to take a better look behind the scenes and how this is actually going to change our lives, because you guys have been going nonstop since last year.
Yes, we certainly have. We've had a lot of big announcements, a lot of exciting things. It's been a great year for us.
Oh, fantastic. It's wonderful. And I continue to see, the growth and whatnot. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you actually became part of the Dronedek family?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So it's both a little complicated and not. So I am Dan's daughter. I've worked for him for some of his other companies before. I had my first job making cold calls at 15 for one of his companies over the summer. So I've been involved in business with him on and off for all of my life. Um, Prior to this, I was working at a company that was doing power line inspections with drones called Dronedek. My bosses there had a successful exit, and one of them actually moved over to Dronedek. I had an open invitation from him and also his co-founder for wherever they end up to. There's a position for me. So, he moved over to my father's company, and it just seemed like a really natural shift. So I joined the Dronedek team part-time and then came on full-time I think May of last year. So just a little over a year with them. Or not this last year, sorry, or 2021. So just a little over a year now, year and a half. And so I'm loving it. I've gotten to do a lot of different things in the company. We're still a small team, so we all get to wear a lot of different hats. So it's been very exciting, keeps me on my toes.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a giant growth in such a short amount of time. It's one thing to go from business to business and grow up the ladder slowly, but you're making leaps and jumps, which is amazing. And congratulations on that. And especially Dronedek for expanding the way they are with such a small team, I should say.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. My extensive experience with startups and in sales has helped. And with my career, and then the Dronedek team, we just have such a great team behind everything. So we've been taking off. It's been really great.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. But to those who haven't heard or been living under a rock or does not turn on any sorts of news or technology, can you give us a little background on what Dronedek is and what the company is actually looking to do with it and change our lives?
Of course, yeah. So we are revolutionizing last mile of delivery. So we are the smart mailbox. We're consolidating all traditional and autonomous deliveries. So think drones, ground robotics, autonomous vehicles, those sorts of technology. We're combining all of that delivery to one secure place. So we're that drop-off point, basically. So, all this technology's been updated. We have smartphones, we have smart TVs, there's even smart fridges. The mailbox has been left alone, yet we get more deliveries today than ever before. So we're just really bringing that up to date. We're modernizing the mailbox.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very valid point because the mailbox has been around since 1800s, all the way back from them. But you're right, nobody has touched it. It's normally been the same, and it's been the same people delivering your mail day in, day out, year after year. And do you see with the changes in this, that infrastructure is still staying in place?
I think you mean man delivery,
Oh,
traditional
right,
delivery.
right.
I think, of course, yeah. I think there's no matter what you do, no matter how much automation you introduce into an industry, there's always going to be that human component. We're not trying to displace that human part of it, but we're trying to help kind of augment it. Help make it a safer, more green way of doing things. Like a lot of lifting tasks for packages can cause different muscular skeleton issues for the deliverers, excuse me. So robotics, things like that can help reduce issues for them, make it safer and again more green.
Oh, also with the more green and whatnot, you're actually talking more security and also the speed of delivery, because as we're talking prior to this, we want speed. We want it now. We want it. We are the Verucas of the world, if you will.
Yes, yeah. I mean, everything's so instant now. You can get DoorDash or any delivery company, they'll bring you your meal right then. You can download things instantly. We are in that, time of the now, like everything happens now. Our attention spans are now. So people, they do want their deliveries faster and they expect them faster. And automation can really deliver on that. Whether or not that's drones or it's sorting through a warehouse faster because of automation, or a robot picking it up when it's out of hours and there's not people there. All of these, we're able to speed it up. We're able to kind of overcome some of these roadblocks that take up time in the delivery process.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go back a couple years. Uh, we don't really like talking about this time in our generation, if you will, or the right here and now is now the 2020 era that that there was such a demand for this, but we weren't really able to do anything about it. Do you see that Dronedek actually helping that, should that ever happen again?
I think for our infrastructure, I think we're a lot more established just as a in general in the logistics industry. I think that they built up that infrastructure because of that need from COVID, and I think that now that people are ordering so much, that demand's never going to go back down.
No.
So at least not fully, not to the level we saw before that. And I do think that we are solving a lot of the issues that came up during COVID. You know, there's people that were worried about, you know, getting sick off of packages that are coming in. You know, we can offer some UV disinfecting. You know, it's not touching as many human hands. It can make it a safer work environment in times of pandemics for the deliverers by introducing the robotics and, you know, not having to have a person there to sign for the package, because we can do, you know, excuse me, we can verify IDs with the unit to make sure you are who you are, say you are. So that counts as a signature, things like that, that can overcome that fear of, you know, getting sick. But also, again, we offer a bunch of features to, and again, we haven't actually touched on this. We offer a bunch of features to help support autonomous systems. So, you know, signal boosters, we're doing, you know, micro weather data. So all of this stuff can help keep that demand. You know, we can get these carriers the information, these robotic systems, all of them, the information they need to be able to run properly. So, you know, we can keep that demand, even when the demand's high, we can still meet that. And we can meet it efficiently and effectively.
Okay. Well, you did talk about automation. The and correct me if I'm wrong, is you like the automation. You like going into the nuts and bolts of it and seeing how it works. Now, what can you tell us that are looking on the outside how this is actually going to benefit us with everything being held inside and working autonomously without human interaction?
Well, for one, you know, we get to take cars off the road. You know, if we can interface with ground robotics and drones, make their jobs easier so they can deliver, you know, provide that infrastructure for these systems to be able to deliver, we're taking cars off the road, which is going to reduce traffic. You know, there's been studies, I think it was maybe the University of Kansas, I believe, that did a study that found that this can save 50% of time in deliveries in cities by introducing autonomous delivery. So, you know, there's going to be more rapid deliveries if you need medications, you know, things like that delivered. It can be done immediately. You know, we're looking at food redistribution through the decks. You know, can we facilitate that? If restaurants have, you know, extra food, can we then put that in the hands really quickly of, you know, a food pantry, you know, something like that, like a food drive, so that food drives, things like that. So I think, you know, automation really unlocks a lot of things, and we're helping unlock that automation and create the secure place for people to get the deliveries that matter to them. Again, like medications, you can't just have things like that delivered. So we get to unlock, at least to your front door, you know, there needs to be someone to sign. So we're unlocking a lot of these sensitive deliveries that have been a little tricky before. So you can get them at any time and you can keep them safe. So I think there's several aspects of life that you'll start seeing impacts as Dronedek and more automation in the delivery industry rolls out.
Okay. Yeah, you did touch on a valid point, because with the medication and whatnot, I remember talking with Dan about actually having businesses uh either sponsor them or have them in locations also that they can actually go pick things up, sort of like the Amazon lockers, and um like Walmart has well, I think Walmart still has the lockers, but not just on the corners or anything by your house, but also the businesses where you can pick them up even on your way to somewhere.
We have explored some, you know, that kind of community deck aspects and stuff. You know, we're not quite a locker. We're not really going for, you know, we are the
Right.
mailbox. We do have commercial uses, and we do plan on being in front of businesses. And again, like those community decks, we've had municipalities reach out to us and ask if we can put some decks in, you know, their city center and stuff like that, where it would be a drop off and pick up location like that for people that could still receive autonomous delivery. So, you know, it's definitely something we're exploring. But you know, it's still kind of, we're figuring out our exact roadmap with that right now.
Oh, with a roadmap like that, you have pretty much a, a blank screen, a blank palette, if you will, because you guys are the leading factor of all this. How do you feel about that?
It's very exciting. I don't think anyone will tell you that it's easy to be coming out with such a new product. There's so much groundwork that needs to be done. Luckily, we have a team that works very hard that has been great and has been able to get this stuff finished. But I think it's really fantastic to be able to say that we're revolutionizing an industry. It's something that not many people can say, and I think we're all really excited about how this is going to change our lives. And having a drone deck, being able to get things delivered, emergency features that we have, things like that. How can we improve communities? And I think we're really eager to start seeing these kind of outcomes of what we're doing.
Okay. Now, out of all of the things that have been released and press release and the things, even as you started working there, what has surprised you the most, or the biggest surprise that you had, or uh, of any of the developments that you guys released? What one do you find the most fascinating and most robust, in your opinion?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's so hard. We've had so many big
Hmm.
releases, and I wouldn't say any of them really surprise me because I'm kind of behind the scenes,
Yeah, you're
working
behind the
on a lot of
scenes.
this with the team. So we kind of see these coming from pretty far out. A lot of our deals are a pretty long life cycle. Might take a month or two of engaging with a company before we're able to announce anything. Um the most robust, I think, out of our releases that we've had so far, I think it has to be the pilot in Lawrence. Just being able to say that we've had our first deliveries, that we were able to test ground mail with USPS. That we had customers using these decks in this pilot. That was major for us. And kind of on the same note, something that hasn't been fully released yet, and we're still not releasing too many details, but
Hmm.
we do have a pilot program in the healthcare industry with the major hospital coming up, which we're very excited about. It's our first major revenue generating pilot.
Oh,
And
okay.
again, it's really moving into this sensitive deliveries, healthcare. We're looking at lab samples and things like that, which is just such an important market. We can do so much in there in that area, and we can help with a lot of pain points in the healthcare industry. So that would probably be the most exciting upcoming update
Okay.
that we're gonna be giving here in the next month or two, probably. So
Oh man, I can know firsthand with working in the health industry that people, um, employers don't have the bandwidth to actually send somebody to a lab anymore. That one person's doing 10 other things, and to send someone to go pick something up and take something back, it's very very detrimental to the productivity that's doing. And knowing that it's actually can be automated, or the potential to be there, we'll put it that way, it is amazing. And that's just one more thing. But so when you started doing this, even when you were doing the lidar and everything with the power lines, did you ever think that the application would be used for home delivery?
for drones,
Yeah, for drones in
and
general. Yeah, right.
I think there's always, I feel like we've been hearing about drone delivery for a while. It's from it being that really futuristic, like that very Jetsons kind of like reality to, it becoming a little bit more of a buzz in 2014, talking about the possibilities. I think it's something that anyone that's been in this industry or interested in automation has definitely thought would come at some point. But it doesn't mean that it's not still wild for us. It's still really cool. I still geek out every time I see a drone delivery. I'm like, this is so cool. I can't wait until they're delivering to me every day. And however often this is commonplace. But I've definitely had the expectation and the hope that it would be here sooner rather than later. So it's really exciting to see it come to fruition now.
Well, yeah, that's, and people, even the older generations are like, well, never thought it would, because it was sci-fi. Everything pretty much that's happening now had to be thought up as somewhere, whether it was a joke or whether it was very good, helped experience mentally, if you will. Uh, but yeah, now that it's becoming reality, it feels surreal. and actually being part of it and actually seeing it happen. I can definitely attest to that because I never thought about that. I'm so used to seeing someone deliver something over, and even our apps on our phone tell us where it is. It's like, okay, now we know where you are, and now to get home to get that package. Now with the drone decks, will that still be something that needs to be done? I seen that you can actually do a lot of things with the app. You guys are developing an app for them.
Yes, yeah, and we do plan on including tracking. In fact, we expect it to be much better, more accurate tracking than what you have now. Because it's not going to be tracking a manned carrier. It's most likely going to be tracking drones and ground robotics, which the GPS location is going to be extremely precise. It has to be. We're
Wow.
going to have that information, and you're going to be, assured that they're coming to you, immediately. It's going to be very quick. But as for the, going home to pick up a package, immediately before it, one out of three Americans, I believe, have had a package stolen from their front yard or from their front door. You don't need to worry about that anymore because the drone deck keeps it completely safe. So although you do have complete visibility on when something's delivered, that matters a lot less because it's going to be there waiting for you whenever you get home.
Okay. Now, with saying that and being delivered and whatnot, is there have is Dronedek I'm sure they are. They're testing the reliability of the GPS systems so that packages don't end up on somebody's roof or the neighbor's roof.
Yes. So you better believe the FAA will not allow that. The drones are so precise, ground robotics are so precise on locations and stuff. And again, we offer that signal boosting. We interface with them so they know the exact pinpoint where your deck is for that delivery. So we are making that even more precise. It's not like it's going to be dropped off somewhere by your house.
Okay.
No, it's going to be dropped off right in the drone deck every time.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I'm kind of curious about. You've seen this paint the picture of someone's house and someone's garage, and you've seen the drone coming right towards you, but it makes a turn and just puts the package right there. It was just one of those things that comes into my mind. I'm sure it comes into a lot of people's minds because now we're talking about taking the human element out of the equation, and we are relying on the programming of an individual. And as a computer person, the computer is only good as the programmer and the programming that is done to it.
Yeah, no, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I think that there is still a lot of concern for people because, that are outside the industry, because drones are such a new technology. But, in actuality, drones have been used for a lot longer than, we've been even aware. It's been used in a lot of military reasons, things like this, recon, things, mapping. So there's already so much that's gone into drones, so much development, and there's a lot of iteration. And I think that these are really robust, reliable systems. They have to be. There has to be 5 backups in case something goes wrong. The FAA America, we have the safest airspace in the entire world. They are not playing around, and that's part of the reason we've seen drone delivery be so slow to come to the market. But because of that, we do know that these systems are extremely safe. These technologies are very safe. And there's so many fail safes in place because there has to be. When you're talking about something flying above our heads, there's always that
Right.
worry of what happens if something goes wrong. Does it crash? What does it hit? So there is a lot of backup plans to if something does go wrong. But most of the time, these systems are made so they're not gonna fail.
Okay.
For that exact reason, for that exact concern.
Okay. That's great to know, and everybody out there, we can rest assured right now. We are in good hands, especially with the programming and the infrastructure that's being built. Now, that's a huge undertaking as well. How are you trying to facilitate an infrastructure that's not even in place yet? And now we're talking about urban America. How does that can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, of course. So I think a lot of times, and we do talk a lot about automation. It is what sets us apart in a large way, but um, we get kind of shoehorned into that just automation. But we interface with traditional delivery as well. So we see it as we're solving a lot of the pain points in logistics for carriers and for users, for the people that are getting things delivered. that are happening right now through manned delivery. So, we can offer this safe place for packages, cut down on theft. We can make it so there doesn't need to be someone there to sign. We can decrease the number of missed deliveries and missed ships. So, again, that GPS information, the fact that if you're not there to sign, then that deliverer has to leave and come back. All of these add costs. They add up. So the more the cost of these missed deliveries are already baked into your shipping, So by the drone deck, we can decrease that, so we can save money for shippers and save money for users as well. So, we're improving upon the infrastructure that is, there right now that's doing the delivery, but we're also building that future infrastructure for when autonomous delivery is more commonplace. So it's kind of that two-pronged, there's the here and now, and there's this future, we know this is coming. It's here in some areas. So we're just getting ready for that, and we're bringing it everywhere, kind of up to speed, so they're ready for it as well.
Oh, you're right, because as technology skyrockets, you have to be willing to change pretty much on the fly. And the testing, I'm sure the testing's rigorous. How long is your testing before actually implementing something?
Yeah, so I think honestly, it is very rigorous in general, but I think it also depends on exactly what you're referring to. If you're talking about interfacing with drones, or rather the testing for USPS. We're working on our certifications for the postmaster certification. Excuse me, and that testing is much crazier than you would think it was compared to the drone testing. It's kind of we send our units to a lab, and they tell us, like, it's not a matter of if we destroy this, it's just to what point it takes us to destroy this. So, there's kind of this, there is a lot of testing. These are going to be in front of your front yard. They need to be able to withstand a car hitting them, and stuff like,
Wow.
and things like that. So we have to there's so much testing on all of these, not just these internal systems and communications between our deck and the deliverers, or the technology, but the testing on how well is this going to stand up. It is very rigorous, and we have a lot of good people and a lot of really good labs outside of third-party labs that are helping us with it.
Okay. Yeah, because I'd hate to see a dog walking by on a street corner with a drone in its mouth. That kind of wouldn't be
So
kosher.
we're not the drone, so that's not
Yeah, that's
our
true.
problem. But I will say the drones, none of them are going to deliver or get near the ground if there is someone or something in that view. The systems are designed to, if there's something moving, something alive right there, it's not going to deliver for safety. That is, where the drone deck comes in. We can give it this safe drop point every time. It's still going to be above head level, and it's going to lower that package down with a winch, is the way we've been seeing the market go. So, I don't think seeing a dog with a drum in its mouth is very likely. It's not a huge concern in the industry. But I definitely could see where that thought would come from.
If I see it, I'm definitely taking a picture. I'll send it to you.
Like, see, I told you. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, remember back when we had this conversation?
Well, if you do, I don't think it'll be a commercial drone at the very least. It'll
No.
probably be a hobbyist or something.
I agree. It probably would be, but it would still be funny to see. I'm
Oh
not gonna
yes.
lie.
What?
So, but before wow, we're actually halfway through the show already, Laura. Uh, Great conversation. We have you, Laura O'Toole from Dronedek here, telling us the back ends of Dronedek, some of the great discoveries and great uh milestones that you've been hitting, and constantly keep going. But we're gonna have to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're gonna get a deeper dive into some other of these of the items of Dronedek, because there's so much to talk about, and we can go any which way. So we're gonna be right back, everybody. Uh, thank you for tuning in. If you're still with us, great. If you're just tuning in, even better. But we'll be right back.
You are clear.
Ah, awesome. Thank you. comments, questions, concerns? What we should cover on the next set? Anything?
I think the only thing is before the end, we are doing a raise on Start Engine right now, crowdfunding raise. Would love to be able to touch on that. We're coming up to I think we're right up to the end right now of that campaign. So again, would love to be able to talk about that.
Absolutely, because I already got on it. As soon as Dan texted me, it's like, hey, go check this out. I'm like, bought. It's already taken care of. But yeah, we can definitely plug that.
Awesome,
Without
thank you.
a
We
doubt.
appreciate you investing and joining us on our investor community.
Oh, absolutely. I am a firm believer in this, and I do. Even after the first conversation with Dan, what was being revolutionized, the patents and everything that are involved with this, what you're actually looking to do worldwide, it'd be stupid not to. Honestly.
Well, we
That's
appreciate that you see the vision. It's that means a lot to us. This
good.
this is Dan's baby, and we truly are a family. We all have a lot of love and dedication to Dronedek, so it is really exciting when we get that buy-in from other people, and other people see it and are excited about this as we are.
Oh, you're most welcome. And I seen it as soon as when the PR person reached out to my producer about this. I'm like, absolutely, I want them on the show. I want to know
We
more
are coming
about this.
back.
Oh, we're already back. Jeez. That was like no time at all. Oops.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. You're on the Making More Money for You show on Voice America Business. And the first part of the radio show here, we've had an amazing conversation with Lora O'Toole from Dronedek. We covered some great milestones. We covered where we're actually going to see Dronedek actually flourish into. But if you have any questions for it, give a call in. We would gladly answer them. We have one of the people on the back end with business development here in the studio with me. So if you feel free to call in if you like. Lora, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Oh man, we covered a lot of stuff, a lot of topics in the first part of the show, and it feels like we're not even scratching the surface of what can be done with the Dronedek.
Yeah, when you have this little piece of what's gonna be kind of this piece of real estate in front of every home and business is our goal. There's so many sensors that we can introduce and so much we can do, so many features we can offer our users, or things like car counting that we can offer municipalities to help make communities better and safer, and have a better understanding of again traffic patterns and things like that. We want to do all of that. So it does seem kind of like this limitless little box almost.
Yeah, because I remember, what was it, when I was talking with Dan, it's like you can get hot, it could be hot or cold, because you were talking about environmentally storage too, because one for medicine, two for your groceries and whatnot, which we talked about a little bit before, but also delivery of food. You would actually deliver a pizza there, and it would actually be hot when you picked it up. That's crazy. That is definitely futuristic stuff right there, and I think we're actually going past what the Jetsons have.
We gotta always improve. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to think of everything and anything that can really benefit our users. We want to include it.
Okay. Well, definitely, because there's so many different people out there and so many different wants and so many different needs. How do you prioritize which ones that you would attack first in your list of developments?
Market research. There is definitely some features that we find that are so much more important to for safety, for medication safety, things like health safety, for the sensitive deliveries, but then also more important to our users and our customers. And so, we are constantly trying to take in that information and make sure that we're doing the research needed before we implement these new features. So, we're trying it's not just willy-nilly. It's,
Right.
we do have all of these features that we talk about. And, some of them are coming sooner, and some of them are coming later just based on that information that we get for our product roadmap. And we are constantly adding new features as well, as we find new features that we can include that are important to the customers.
What's one feature that you would love to see happen with a drone deck? That it's either in production or kind of sort of there, but it's something that you would want as a customer.
Ooh, there's so many cool features. I think a lot of the features that again, a lot of the features that I like the most are kind of the ones that are here, right? Again, we
Mhm.
do this based on what's important. So like the heated and
Right.
cooling, we are constantly improving on that. But like that's a feature I'm very excited about. I'm very excited to be able to order food while I'm an hour or two away or whatever, and make sure that it's there if I'm like starving. It's gonna be right there, hot, fresh, ready for me. Things like that I'm very excited about. And I think a lot of the community features, I think something that like, I don't think it doesn't come off as the most exciting to some people, but the signal boosters that we're including, we're looking at, can we do LoRaWAN boosters and gateways? Can we do cell phone repeaters, things like that to help uh broaden these networks to areas where there's not as great coverage. I think that's really exciting. I think the things that can happen from that is going to be great. The fact that it can help facilitate all of these autonomous systems that we've been talking about,
Right.
and can it improve your cell signal or any of that. I think that's going to be really cool, and I think that's a kind of an underrated feature.
Okay. So each one of these drone, as we're talking here, I'm just getting a mental picture here from being in the network field and whatnot. And my mind is going. So with every drone deck, you're actually looking to build a mesh topology or uh, a mesh physical layout of a network that will actually connect each other.
We are definitely looking into that, yes. And I wouldn't say every drone deck. There's going to be some in some urban areas where that's just
Right.
really not needed, where that redundancy is already there. But it's really like rural areas or areas that don't have that full coverage that I think this is going to be or we're going to see the biggest difference with this. I think it's going to be the most exciting in those areas. But yeah, again, it's to help these systems that we're interfacing with to have that connectivity that they need no matter where they are. And that's just going to kind of, bleed over to other technologies though,
Right.
which is, again, just really exciting.
Now, with drone decks doing this, do you see with the less need for the giant cell towers? If drone decks actually going to, if the potential for drone deck to actually do that with Wi-Fi and cell signals and whatnot, do you see less of the giant cell towers going up and being constructed?
I'm not a systems engineer. I don't have a background in
Okay.
telecom or anything, so
No.
I don't wanna speak. I don't wanna say that's a full possibility, but I wouldn't say that it's an impossibility either. We
Okay.
are, always looking at partnering with these big companies. We've talked with all these big dogs. We have
Mhm.
talked to these telecom companies. And I think there is some good opportunity for a partnership that would
Okay.
maybe decrease, the needs or for these big telephone poles and things like that.
Right.
I think that's something that we'll have to see
Okay.
in development. So possibly.
Okay. Fair enough. That's just at the thought of possibility, because what you're talking about is everything a cell tower does, but if it's in there, it's a good possibility. Whatever you guys are talking about and behind the scenes, I'm just trying to figure out from my mind, I'm wrapping my head around it and seeing where it could actually benefit, where it doesn't benefit, and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
I do
Now,
think we have the advantage of, there's several drone decks, so we can kind of do it that way. But we won't
right.
have that height and that reach that a cell phone tower would. So again, I think there's at least some possibility for it, but
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough. So we'll just leave that one as it happens, and when we see it being announced, it's like, oh, okay, it actually happens. Now, out of the features that you do like about it, is there any features that you think wouldn't really benefit Dronedek that you've had on your list?
So I don't know about not really benefiting Dronedek. One that we sometimes talk about that we are looking at including potentially is, some bomb detection. That is something that is probably never going to be commonplace on every single Dronedek. That's
Okay.
not something that most users need. That's when you hear that or see that on our feature list, that is, again, down the road on the product roadmap for us. But that would be for very specialized use cases and customers. So I think that's probably one of the features that would maybe benefit at least most of our users a little bit less than some of the others. Kind of one of the few that stands out like that.
Okay. Just curious, because getting your perspective on this was definitely different from getting Dan's perspective on this, which is great, because we all see the press releases and the news and all the articles and whatnot. We're seeing it from one person's point of view, but now we're seeing it from your point of view, because it's different, because we don't really get to talk to you as much, or anybody else in the company, and I appreciate the time for that. And that's why these questions from your perspective, shines a lot more on Dronedek as a company, and also as a customer, because I'm sure you're going to be a customer of Dronedek as well.
Yes, I live in a very urban setting where packages get stolen all the time. I'm very excited. I'm ready to be the first one to sign up. I would have it today if I could. So yes, I do definitely plan on being a customer as well.
Okay. Now, the infrastructure that is being tested, it isn't a very, I know it's out in your hometown where Dronedek actually is. Have you guys start looking at other testing opportunities, other testing markets?
So I mentioned earlier, we're looking at this pilot in the healthcare industry.
Right.
We have a lot of interest in, from different hospitals and things. So we are moving into that industry a little bit more. We're looking at doing some pilots and, potentially in some retirement communities for, prescription deliveries and food deliveries, things like that. So, we are constantly looking for new markets and, new use cases for testing and moving outside of Indiana as well. So, we can't say too much about any of
Right.
these. These haven't been announced yet or anything, but the answer is yes.
Okay. No worries. I don't want to purge any confidentiality or anything on your end, or any of that sort of thing, or cause any legalities. But it's great to hear that the other advancements and whatnot. This last advancement that you had, what's your take on the one that you just announced? I believe it was like last week, wasn't it? I believe you made there was a Dronedek announcement last week, but I didn't get a chance to read it.
Yeah, so that was the one about the healthcare pilot that I
Okay.
mentioned, that, and we did do a small release on it. Again, we haven't given too many details
Right.
on what the hospital or any of that yet. But yes, I'm happy to talk a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. If you can, especially now, that location. Now with Dronedeks, are they supposed to be like on a street corner when they're supposed to be implemented, or is there supposed to be a blueprint that you have from the company that this is the criteria you have to get a Dronedek installed?
So there are some requirements. The Dronedek does require power, so we do have to get that in some way. We have a battery configuration though, but it does end up limiting some of the features we can offer if we are running
Okay.
solely on battery power. So there is that. We have cellular capabilities, so we don't actually need Wi-Fi to be able to function. But for other requirements on actual location, I think it depends if you're really wanting it to be in a position where it will be ready for drone delivery. Because if you do want it for drone delivery, and to be able to accept those deliveries, then it has to have a certain amount of right of way. There can't be a tree right above it. It can't be right up against your house, things like that, where drones can't deliver. And the other part of that is, if you're running it for manned delivery, it does need to be by the street for those carriers as they're used to, and how they expect it to be. So there are some requirements on where you put a drone deck, depending on what you want to use it for. But other than that, it's pretty much up to you. If you just want drone delivery, you can put it on your roof. If you just want man delivery, it can have a tree right above it, right by the street. Things like that. The only real big requirement again would be the power for some of our more robust features.
Okay. That's more than fair, and I'm sure when somebody contacts you to get that, you give them like a whole giant pamphlet of what do's and don'ts of what to do. So that's always good. Now, you you in the company with Dronedek, where do you see yourself like in a year or so with the company? Do you still see yourself as VP of development, or do you plan on, or would you like to move on to something else? I know we talked about automation and whatnot, and the drones and all the techie stuff.
Yeah, I definitely see myself still with Dronedek.
Okay.
I definitely think I'm gonna have a hand in the business development. I love the sales and partnerships and stuff. I have been moving a little bit, doing a little bit more work on our pilot programs and kind of that realization, the project management and customer success side. So, I think maybe some shifts there, but I think I'll be doing a lot of the same stuff I am now.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Uh what out of I know we talked about the the medical industry and whatnot, but how does Drone Deck actually fit in? How will an average everyday person actually use or get something delivered to themselves with that? Would it be through a phone, or would it be through a computer app?
Both. We're trying not to change your delivery or how you order things, your order process. We still want you to be able to order through all of the means you do, go to your favorite site or
Mhm.
whatever that is, favorite app, place that order, and then just know that it's going to be coming to the drone deck and it will interface and give you that information. That's how we really see it being used. It's kind of this addition. It brings a bunch to the table, but we don't want it to be this huge groundbreaking shift, reimagine everything for everyone because we recognize that that's a little trickier. That's harder. People are used to things a certain way. So we don't want to change that too much. We just want to make that whole process better.
Okay. Also with the ordering and also the return process, you're also working out as well. Uh,
Yes, we are looking at including a return process. And this is one that we do kind of want to change a little bit. So, we're hoping to be that conduit to all your returns that you want. So you don't have to go back to that app. You don't have to find that receipt. You can go through your Drone Deck app and look at your last few purchases and it will populate and you can pick from there. So if you're not even sure, you're like, I don't know if I ordered this from store A or store B, it doesn't matter. It was ordered through your deck, or came through your deck, so that information's there, and you can just return it that way.
okay, that would make things 10 times easier by doing that. Because I am one for trying to find out where I bought it from, trying to find the email where it came from, and which account I bought it on, either if it's a business account or if it's my personal account. So that would actually definitely save a lot of time, a lot of frustration. So that's amazing. Let's see. What else? What's another thing that you would love to see happen with all these contracts and whatnot going on? Now, is Drone Deck actually just trying to stay in the US, or are they looking to go global as well? I know Dan talked a little about possibly about going on foreign stuff, but has there been any other development with that?
Yeah, we're definitely interested in international opportunities. We've recently designated, I think, 25 countries for patents internationally through the PCT, the Cooperation Treaty.
Okay.
So, we do have that patent protection in 25 countries in addition to the US, which is really major for us. We're very excited. And yeah, again, we are always looking for these opportunities. So far it's made sense for most of our developments and everything and our pilots to be here. But we're definitely open and we're definitely just looking for the right opportunities to go international.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it must be really it's in a very good place where you can actually pick and choose what you want to do with it, because as you're saying, it is your baby. It is, and you get to develop it the right way, and you are taking the right time to do it and not just trying to get it out to the masses and say, oops, okay, we messed up. Now we got to scrap it and do something completely different.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we're releasing a really good product that is, we're not going to have to redevelop in a year or two, or we're not going to have all these customers coming to us with issues. We want to simplify the process. You don't need a piece of buggy technology making that harder. So we want to make sure that there are no bugs, that we are working out all of these issues before. And so, we're at a really good place where we have our generation 2 units coming in. We've done a lot of iteration, a lot of testing, and we've seen a lot of improvement over the last year or two. So it's really exciting. Our product is really great. It looks a lot better. We have photos of our new design. It's a little bit prettier, a lot sleeker, and just has a lot more functionality.
Okay. Now, here's a very interesting question. How fast is time going for you since you're working there?
It is flying. Time is flying. I in addition to my stuff with Dronedek, I'm just really involved in the automation industry and a lot of organizations. So I definitely
Okay.
keep busy, and because of that, I mean, you blink and it feels like it's 6 months later. It's kind of
Okay.
that's about where we are right now. But again, it's really exciting. It keeps me on my toes. So
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Uh, good. Well, especially with the time and whatnot. So when you get to work, it's like 2, 3 meetings, lunchtime, another meeting, time to go home type of thing? Or do you find yourself actually in that depth in the technology and whatnot because you want to keep doing this, that you are working extra hours, weekends and whatnot, because you find it fascinating and you feel like you're actually being productive and you found your purpose?
I definitely find it fascinating. I know I mentioned all these
Oh
organizations.
yeah.
I'm now the president of the association, or excuse me, for AUBSI, the Association of Uncrewed Vehicle Systems International in Colorado, so the Rocky Mountain chapter. Super involved with automation and all this industry through there. So during the week, I'm so focused on Dronedek, head in there. But off hours, nights, on the weekends, I'm all about the robotics and drones. I love being, again, involved in the industry that way and getting to do stuff with Dronedek and with these other companies, these organizations. So I definitely put a lot of time into it. I think it's so cool.
So you're going to be on the next BattleBot season if you're going to,
I
build
wish,
one.
I wish. I often think I should have been an engineer. I'm like, I should have just done it. I love working with the engineers. I love working on the product, and again, seeing just all the technology.
Oh, you must be a kid in a candy store then, because when you come into work, you get to go through all the stuff. It's like, ooh, this looks nice. I want to try this out. How does this work? Type of thing.
Yes, yeah, the conferences especially are a lot of fun. You get to go and see all the new shiny toys, all the cool new robots and stuff. And the sensors, it is like I am like a kid in the candy store.
That's awesome. Well, that's a good thing. So you when working with these items and working with uh the drones and the automation and whatnot, you don't find it as work, do you? You just find it as something that you enjoy doing and you're actually helping people doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just everyone we work with is so great. The industry there's so much happening. There's never a dull moment. So it definitely doesn't feel like work.
Okay. So when you guys hit your milestones, uh do you guys take some time off to actually renew your energies and try to figure out, okay, we're going to take a moment here, we're going to celebrate this and then go to the next one, or do you just plow through and just keep going one right after another?
I do think we do make sure to celebrate all of our wins as a team. We
Okay.
have team events and stuff, but I think there's not so much of that break, typically.
Okay.
Um we have so much going on, and I think that we're all just so invested in Dronedek at this point that we couldn't imagine, that break. I think we have too much we want to do with it, to be able to take that step back.
Okay. Well, you brought up a wonderful point and a great way for a segue for a closing because we're at the end of the show. You brought up investing. So to bring the future to us, there has to be something that needs to happen to keep this flow going. Am I right? So how can we learn more about Dronedek, and how can we actually be part of this growing future?
Yeah, so make sure to check us out on dronedek.com for more information. We are doing a crowdfunding raise right now on Start Engine. So startengine.com/dronedek will bring you to our campaign page. As a startup, that is we have our first revenue generating pilot right now, but we've held off on that because we wanted to make sure that our product was in a place that it was ready and it was good for it for these pilots. So there is that capital need to keep doing our R&D and what we're doing in the background. So, we are thankful for all of our investors. We've raised to date a little over 8 million, I believe, total through both of our
Wow.
crowdfunding raises, angel investors, and everything. We have about 5,000 investors. We are always happy to welcome more people into our investment community, and we're always really thankful for that.
Wow. That's, in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot in a very short amount of time. So, and I remember when Dan was on that, he not only is it a company that's accepting investors, but he also put so much of his own money in because he believes in this to
Yes,
do
yeah,
that.
he ran this out of his own pocket for the first few years.
Yeah.
So again, he has a big stake in this, and he's really dedicated and really sees the vision for Dronedek.
Oh,
So yeah, and he always says now is the time to invest. We're not sure if we're going to be able to do another crowdfunding raise. We're looking at opportunities, potentially maybe going public in the future, or other opportunities like that. So now is really the time to get in.
well, everybody go to startengine.com/Dronedek. Check it out. See if it's what your investment, if you want to invest in it, make sure it's good for your situation. Regardless, it is coming. Laura, I want to say thank you for your time. It was wonderful chatting with you and learning about your role and more about the Dronedek family. But we have to close it out for the day. So that takes care of this episode. Next week episode, I have land investing or land banking. I'm very sorry. Uh, it's going to be interesting, and it's a weird topic. So if you're curious about what it takes to be a land banker, tune in next week at the same time. Laura, thank you for stopping by, and everybody have a wonderful week.
You are clear.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we talked about so many different things. Is there anything that we missed that you really wanted to get into, or something that you feel that the audience would like to know?
No, I think we covered a lot. My head's kind of spinning from all the topics we covered. But no, I think we really touched on a lot of good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. We covered I feel the same way. We covered a lot of stuff that were in your press releases. We covered some stuff that wasn't in your press releases, some of your future, some of your past, how your role in it, because that's very important, and seeing where your ideas come into play, and also seeing how another person, another employee other than Dan, is actually enjoying the work and prosperity of Dronedek and seeing the future come to life.
Yeah, no, we really are. It's really cool. It's a really cool company and a really cool opportunity to have. So, again, thank you so much for having me and for exploring those topics with me.
Oh, absolutely. I thank you. Definitely. This is going to be a lot of great information for everybody out there, especially investors, for looking to get that crowd investing done, which is amazing, because I can't wait to see what happens next, because now I know my investment was well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had a stock split, so anyone who invested in our first round, stock is already worth more than it was when they purchased. So, we're on a good trajectory right now. We really are. So we're very excited.
Oh man, if you wow, you split already. That's ridiculous. That's great to know, because I can't wait, because I was actually, when you said this. I'm gonna stop recording right now.